NFL draft radar. Miami has players all over popping up on the NFL draft radar. Where do you want to begin?
Well, first, I mean, it's sort of ridiculous how many prospects they have. When you look offense, defense, it's all over. I mean, you look on defensively. I think what's so interesting is you have a guy like David Blay, and they've done a great job at Miami. Give him credit. They've using the portal, right? David Blay, defensive tackle, 6'4", 305, comes from Louisiana Tech. Athletic kid, strong, really has sort of carved out a role for himself there. Then, then you have the Canadian kid, Akeem Mesidor, been there pretty much for a while, 6'02", 273. I think for the NFL, I think this guy's going to be a productive player. I like this kid. I think he's looks smaller than 270. I think he looks about 255 when you watch him on film. He's got a little twitch off the ball. He's got a little shake. He has a natural instinct for how to defeat pass blocks. I think he's going to be a very good player at the NFL level. And as we both know, if the NFL doesn't work, he's going to get paid a good amount of money because he's going to be one of the better defensive players in the CFL, and he's got the red passport. So he will be a highly paid Canadian player in the CFL if he doesn't make it in the NFL. Wesley Bissanth, their linebacker, not a huge kid, a little over 6'1", 220 plus pounds, but he can run. He's constantly around the ball making plays. He's a guy NFL teams are trying to figure out, does he fit better as an inside or an outside? Because so many teams are now using 220-pound guys as their mics if they can really cover and run, and this kid can. I think this kid's going to end up being a day 2 pick, somewhere in that second or third round. You have Mohamed Toure playing next to him. The kid you and I talked about missed 2 years, I think, due to ACL and knee injuries at Rutgers. He's blossomed at Miami. I shouldn't say blossomed. People saw it at Rutgers, but he's blossomed in terms of he's back from the injuries. He's playing good football. He's showing the talent level everybody thought they saw at Rutgers, but were disappointed with the injuries. And then they have a safety, another transfer kid from Tennessee and Middle Tennessee, Jacob Thomas, big, long safety, 6'2", 200 pounds. The type of guy who you can move around, use him in a variety of spots on defense so your defense isn't predictable. I think he's a kid that, although he wasn't on the radar preseason, I think a lot of NFL teams are looking at him saying he might be a guy that could fit because he's a move around multiple guy. And that's just on defense, Rick. Then you move over to offense. They have even more guys. I mean, we all know, we've all talked, and you and I have talked at length about Carson Beck, and the physical tools have been there his whole career. The mental and intangibles, to me, that's improved dramatically throughout his career. He seems like a different guy when you watch him in the huddle, when you watch him on the sidelines. He seems so mature and calm now. There's a lot to like about him. When you look at the receivers, C.J. Daniels, the Keelan Marion kid, BYU and UConn, I know that Daniels is a kid that was on the NFL's radar before the season, and Marion was sort of a little bit of an afterthought. I honestly think Marion's at least become even, if not surpass, Daniels in terms of where he's going to be. I like this Marion kid. I think he's underrated. Not a huge kid, a little under 6 foot, 190 plus pounds. The kid makes plays. He's got natural hands. He's got natural ability to make things happen when he's got the ball in his hands. Their offensive line, I know we've talked about it before. You have the kid Brockemeyer, their center. He's not going to win any awards for being the most dominant physical guy because he's not gigantic, but he's a fundamentally sound kid, plays over his feet, knows what he's doing, gets his guys in the right position. He really does a good job. Then you have two giants, Inez Cooper, guard, 6'5" and 5/8", almost 350 pounds, long arms, 34 plus. He needs to find a way to prove that he can be a guy that can handle the change of direction. I want to see if this guy, we know he can handle guys that try to bull rush. Now, sometimes he gets a little high, lets guys into his chest, doesn't play as strong as he's capable of, but can he handle the side to side? And then the other kid, to me, you and I know it's the traits. The Markel Bell kid, he's going to get an opportunity. Whether it's as earlier for him, a fourth-round pick, or a late, someone's going to take him because there aren't many humans that are 6'8" and change, 340 pounds with 36-inch arms. So somebody late is going to say, I don't care that he was inconsistent. I don't care that he got benched during part of his senior year. We're going to roll the dice on him because there aren't enough humans. He's played at major college football. And I think if you take the 10 best plays from every game, those 10 best plays look like an NFL player. So is he a polished guy? No. Does he do things right? No, he does a lot of, and we've talked about this in the past about tackles. He stops his shuffle. He tends to make contact, stop his feet, and then he ends up leaning to make blocks. And then when he tries to go get guys, he stops his feet and leans to go get them. These are habits he has to break, and sometimes they can break it, and sometimes they never do. But he's so big, and he does have decent feet for a giant man. He's going to get opportunities at the next level. I think if he can get with the right coach, and I think in truth, if a team is smart enough to put him on the practice squad for a year, give him a year to work with an NFL coach, get his weight down a little bit, work on the fundamentals. I think there's a lot of potential for this kid.
Reminds me a little bit of Liam Fornadell coming out of James Madison, and he went the UFL route, spent a year with the DC Defenders, starting there. And I think he actually may have even transitioned to center, but maybe Markel Bell is a developmental guy. You spend a year in the UFL, you get some reps under your belt, and then you develop into an NFL caliber offensive lineman. A couple guys I want to touch upon because Keelan Marion is a guy I scouted numerous times up at UConn. Very electrifying wide receiver, also returns kicks. The one knock there, Russ, is just the hammies. He's always got some kind of knick-knack injury. You know, these speed guys, they always get caught with those hammies. So that's just something you got to keep in mind with Keelan Marion. Now, Mohamed Toure, when I went into Rutgers a couple years ago, Greg Schiano told me personally, he said, if this kid ever gets an invite to the combine, he's going to test better than any linebacker in the draft. So he might be one of these workout warriors. And I don't know if he's a combine invite, but you know, these pro day workout warriors that just
he'll go higher than people expect. He's going to be a guy that pushes himself into day two as long as he medically checks out and there's no red flags with that knee.
And the medical will be a big if there. Now, of course, the two big prospects, Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle, 6'5" and 6/8 inches, 315 pounds out of Samoa. Power, size, you know, movement skills, hand placement. He's going to be a first-round talent at the next level. And then you have arguably the best player in the draft in Ruben Bain. I mean, this guy can do no wrong. He's 6'2", 5/8 inches, 275 pounds, which is an interesting size, frame, dimension, but there's a little bit of hype now. The hype train is building. There's some love out there for Ruben Bain. Some people actually putting him in the Abdul Carter category or possibly higher, Russ.
No, I've been I've been hearing that from scouts that this is a guy that basically they're saying, hey, you may not think of him as a guy that deserves the challenge to be a top 10 or 15 guy, but he is going to be in that discussion. NFL teams are really intrigued by the fact that no matter what happens, he produces. He finds a way, no matter what the matchup is, no matter who he's going against, no matter how he is in terms of, is he battling through an injury? Is he dealing with whatever it may be? He gets out there and produces immense talent. Yeah, NFL teams have been talking about him as a guy that is probably going to be a guy that people aren't talking about. And then as the draft gets closer, he's going to be the guy that all the media people start saying, oh, he's rising. He's come out of nowhere. Whereas legitimately, NFL scouts have been saying he's a potential high first-round pick from the middle of the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He gets after the ball, speed to power, creating fumbles, sacks, interceptions. I mean, he is a defensive stud playmaker, that Ruben Bain. And the Hurricanes, shout out to Mario Cristobal for all the talented recruits he's brought down there in Miami. We've known a long time about the facilities down there and the upgrades they needed to make. And Cristobal has gotten the job done here for the Miami Hurricanes. All right, one more